So guys, in this lecture we'll be talking about botnet DDoS attack. Server attacks are frequently making headlines in today's digital environment. At any time, everyone who uses a computer could become a victim of a cyber attack. There are various sorts of cyber attacks, ranging from phishing to DDoS to password attacks. On the internet, there are numerous hazards to online security, and many of these threats are promising technologies that were abused. So in this lecture, we will be talking about this botnet attack. So let's first learn what is botnet. So the word robot and networks together give rise to the term botnet. Botnet refers to a network of hijacked internet connection devices that are installed with malicious code known as malware. Each of these affected devices is known as bots, and a hacker or cybercriminal known as bot herder who remotely control them. So a bot is called a zombie and a botnet is referred to as zombie army. The bot herder can direct every bot to carry out a coordinated illegal action from a single central location. A botnet can have several bots and thus allows the attacker to carry out the large-scale attacks, infected various devices that can acquire updates and modify their behavior easily and quickly, since a remote attacker can control them. Bots are used to automate large-scale attacks including data theft, server failure, malware progression, spam email ingestion, and malicious traffic generation for distributed denial of service attack. So let's now talk about how does this botnet work. Now that you have a good understanding of what is a botnet, it's time to dive deeper into learning how does this work. So first, you need to preparing the botnet army. So the first step in creating botnet is to infect as many connected devices as possible to ensure that there are enough bots to carry out these attacks. It uses the computing power of the infected device to task that remains hidden to the device owner. However, the fraction of bandwidth takes from a single machine isn't sufficient, and hence the botnet combines millions of devices to carry out large scale attacks. This way, it creates bots either by exploiting security gaps in software or website or phishing the emails. They often deploy botnets through a Trojan horse bias. So once it hacks the device, as far as previously I said, it infects it with a specific malware that connects to the device back to a central botnet server. This way, it connects all the devices within the botnet network and they are ready to execute the attack. A bot herder uses command programming to drive the bot's action. So once it's infected, a bot can allow access to admin level operation like gathering and stealing user data, reading and writing system data, monitoring user activities, performing DDoS attack, sending spam, launching brute force attack, crypto mining, and so on. As seen in this picture, a bot herder initiates the attack by infecting several devices with malicious code, which acts as a botnet. Then, this device takes over and conducts the final cybersecurity attack. Therefore, even if you trace the cyber attack back in a such scenario, you cannot trace the bot herder easily. So, in the next lecture, now we'll talk about the botnet architecture. So a botnet architecture has developed over a while for improved working and slimmer chances of getting traced. So as I told previously how this works. So once it's infected with desired number of devices, the bot master, which is the bot herder, takes control of the bots using two different approaches. So first approach is client server model. So the client server model is traditional model that operates with the help of command and control server and communication protocol like IRC. For example, IRC or Internet Relay Chats sends automated commands to the infected bot devices. So before engaging in cyber attack, it frequently programs the bot to remain dormant and await command from the CNC server. When the bot, however, issues a command to the server, it is then relayed to the client. Following this, the client runs the command and report back to the bot master with the findings. And the next architecture is the peer-to-peer network. So instead of CNC server, we have the P2P approaches. Here, controlling infected bots involve a peer-to-peer network that relies on a decentralized approach. As you can see in this picture, bots are topologically interconnected and act as both CNC server and clients. So today, hackers adopt this approach to avoid detection and single point failure. So in the P2P botnet approach, the infected device is scanned for malicious website or the other devices, and the bot carefully probes random IP addresses until it comes in contact with another infected machine. So the bots can share updated commands or the latest version of malware. So let's now show you a famous or talk about a famous botnet attacks. Now that you have understood how a botnet works, you can imagine how dangerous it can be. The network of in-self devices are being various dangerous cyber attacks, and first one is Mirai. So Mirai is one of the famous botnet associated with IoT devices, first found in 2016, and it primarily targets online consumer devices and has been used in some of the most destructive DDoS attacks. Second one is Mariposa. Emerged in 2009, the Mariposa botnet committed online scam and launched the DDoS assault. It also steals personal account credential from victim, and it operates, and then after stealing the personal credential, it sells them on the dark web. Third one is Zeus. The financial Trojan account for 90% of all global online bank fraud instances at their peak, engaging or emerging in July 2007. It was used to steal data from the USA Department IT Transportation. Next one is Storm. So the first identified in 200. Storm is one of the first P2P botnets with a massive network range from 250,000 to 1 million infected devices. So the Storm handle attacks from DDoS to identify theft. And the last one is 3V, first discovered in 2016. So 3V was a different type of botnet that did not steal data or money and instead generated fake clicks and online advertisement hosted by fake websites. So that's all about the botnet. The basics of botnets are simple. The first step to find a lot of machines that are vulnerable to attack. So in the case of Mirai, IoT's device with hard-coded on default credential set. Next, the vulnerability is exploited. So in some cases, this means that installing a remote administration tool, infected or vulnerable machines are then controlled by a bot herder with a CNC tool. So in this lecture, we will talk about how to use or download UFONet, a free software tool designed to test DDoS attack against a target using open redirect vectors on third-party web application like botnet. And I will be walk through the steps of how to do that, how to launch an attack, how to download and install UFONet on your machine. So this is an open source botnet which is very easy to install and run, and it is very capable of searching out vulnerabilities, host, testing them, cataloging them, and running DDoS attack and more. So for the first step, what you need to do is just open up your Kali Linux machine, and as I said or talked about many times previously, that all of those attacks you should use a virtual machine, and also it is best to use Kali Linux machine. So just open up your Kali Linux machine, go to your terminal or go to your uh, go to Google, just type UFOnet, go to the GitHub, and we need to just copy this repository. So just simply click copy, and we need to install this into your machine. So first, so let me go to my optional. So it's better to use all of those installs file into your OPT, because it is here for you to install all of those files. As you can see, mine have couple of files that are installed in option folder: Beef, Beeflogger, Microsoft, Fathead, Bell. So I'll be using this folder to install my this UFOnet software tool. So just type cd, paste the so we are now right into our this optional folder, and we will be installing this UFOnet into this directory. So just type git clone and copy the repository, copy, paste, just press click, and it will automatically install all of those files into your Kali Linux machine. So then also we need to ensure that we have all dependency required to run this, because we will need Python at least 2.7 to install and run this. Otherwise you cannot run your UFOnet into your machine. You need to install or update your Python. Just simply type Python to see which version I am at. As you can see, mine is very updated, which is latest 3.9.0. So make sure you use at least 2.7, because otherwise it will not work. So just type exit out this. So we are done with installing. So let's go to our optional folder. So as you can see, UFOnet are now installed into our optional folder. So let's install this UFOnet. So let's list all of those files, and let's go to this UFOnet folder. So just type cd u, press tab to complete all of those UFOnet, then list all of those files to see if it is can install. As you can see, green means it can be installed. So just simply type so as you can see, this is the Python file. So we need to install this as Python. So just type Python setup.py, as you can see, and so if you want to update, then simply press type update in here, because this is our first time that we need to install. So simply just type Python, which is the Python. As you can see, this is the file. Just need to type this file name, then press install, and I think it will automatically installed and is done. I think yes. So we have done installing our UFOnet on our machine. So how can you check if it's installed or not? Just simply open this file. This is our main program, main tool to run. So how can you run this file? Just simply type, okay, I'll list all of those files now again. So we need to use this file. Just simply type dot slash then UFOnet. As you can see, it is installed and it's running, and also you can see all of those tools that you can attack, and all of those options, like you can attack HTTP. And so this is our command line interface on UFOnet. So UFOnet has two interface. UFOnet has first command line interface, then it also has GUI interface, which is graphical user interface. So let's see if graphical user interface, as you can see, this is the code to run as graphical user interface dash dash GUI, and it will run a graphical user interface. As you can see, very simple and very easy to install, download and install UFOnet, which is a DDoS attack tool. So in our next lecture, we will see all of those uses of UFOnet and how you can attack using this tool. So all of those we will be seeing in our next lecture. So let's now see our UFOnet tools use cases in this lecture. So let's run this tool. So I am on, as you can see, I am currently onto this folder. So let's just run /UFOnet GUI, and it will run a GUI user interface. Okay, so as you know, it is a very free software tool that designed to test DDoS attack against a target using open redirect vectors on third-party web application like botnet. So let's first show you a couple of the command line interface. So and then we'll go into this graphical user interface. So let's just run UFOnet using command line. So as you can see, it has so many DDoS attacks that are available into this tool. I cannot really show you all of those because it will take like hours and hours to use all of those. I will just show you a basic uses of this tool so that you can use the similar process, then use it to other use cases. So let's just download some zombies. So press UFOnet --help. As you can see, there are lots of commands that you can use. Like for example, you can use example to see, print some examples. You can use --check to see if check tool is properly used. So we will be using a download one. I think there is a command called download zombies. So download nodes, as you can see, we will use this command, which is --download zombies. So let's use this command using command line interface. So just in here, just paste download zombies. As you can see, downloading list of zombies all in here. So do you want to merge? So let's just type Y. You would like to update other content like new mission, read book. Okay, Y. So as you can see, these are all of the zombies, and botnet, which is zombies, droid, and all of those, close combat, and UFOnet, which is denial of service, on to downloading all of those zombies. As you can see, zombies are found is 1074. So we found all of those zombies and also downloaded all of those. So let's now use our graphical user interface. So as you can see, this is the tool where you can go to different pages like all of those, but not we are just going to use the mothership. So just click mothership. As you can see, you can see all of those, as you can see, all of those browser devices and use all of those search encrypt. So these are the templated one. So you can use global grid, global board, global stream, global games, war games, as you can see. So let's go. So if you just move your mouse in here, as you can see, you can use botnet, explore, attack, global internet. So let's just go into our botnet. So search. So let's search in here. As you can see, lots of things are connected, like as you can see, it will just go on and go on. So as you can see, lots of things are happening into this in here, and it will continue running. So let's go to our attack menu. So just into the botnet, you can go to into the mode of attack. So let's just go to in here. So you can configure request like how many proxy server or which agent or which HTTP header that you want to use, how many threads, how many SSL or HTTP requests, and all of those you can configure. So right now let's use our Apache server to target. Let's use 5 number of round. You can generate map to see the zombies. So okay, let's show the. So let's click attack, and it will take some time, maybe like okay, it give you instant result. And as you can see, it gathered a lot of zombies and list all of the zombies that it will be using for this attack. As you can see, lot of zombies attacking from these websites. As you can see, hundreds of zombies all will be attacking in our web server. So let's generate map to see what happens. As you can see, zombies found. It will found zombies all over the world. As you can see, so it is a memory hungry thing. So make sure you have lots of memory in your machine to generate all of those. As you can see, it will continue running until it receives all of those 12,772 zombies. As you can see, it found in here, it also found in here, and in here you can get all of those details. So it will take up so many time, or it will take a lot of time. So let's just, so we are done with this generating. So let's configure our, if you want to use number of threads, you can use. As you can see, it will download botnet from this. Zombies are all in here. As you can see, lots of zombies which are connected, and also a couple of them are failed. Five number of rounds, let's use. So you just need to target your URL IP or your target IP and set the number of rounds as far as you need, and just what you have to do is just click attack. So as you can see, first couple of attack is already running, and if we go to our uh, interface, as you can see, it found a lot of things in here. If you go to our terminal, as you can see, lots of things found in using these zombies. So this is the victim found. So as you can see, this couple of rounds of attack is started and found from multiple zombies after a time is host, and it will be after a certain time it will be just down. So as you can see, lots of zombies and lots of thing also on your terminal. As you can see, attacking from this web page. So that's all about the use cases of UFONet. Hello everyone, so in this lecture we will be talking about how to crash website using DDoS. So before going into the demonstration part, let's go and learn about some basics about DDoS attack. So we'll be using slow loadis. So what is slow loadis? So slow loadis is a DDoS attack software that created by Robert Arsenic Hansen, and this software allows a single computer to take on the web server. So the attack is simple but elegant. That means that it does not require much bandwidth to carry out its attack. To carry out the attack on the server of the target web server with minimal or no side effect on other portion services. Slow-release DDoS attack has been demonstrated to be highly effective against many famous web servers such as Apache 1, Apache 2, etc. In the last year, Slow-release has been said to be responsible for the takedown of many high-profile servers. A notable example is that it was used by Iranians hackbist to attack the Iranian government website after the Iranian president election. So let's talk about how this attack works. Slower is operated by opening different connection to the target web server and leaving them open as long as it is needed. It does this by sending partial HTTP requests non-stop with none completed. The server then attacks the open further and connect the open, waiting for the connection to attack each request. At some interval, the slower sends successive HTTP header for every request, but never really finish the request. Eventually, the target server highest simultaneous connection pool gets failed and extra connection attempts are denied. By sending incomplete instead of malperformed packets, Slowroris can conveniently slip by conventional intrusion detective system. Getting its name from a type of slow-moving Asian primate, Slowroris gets the job done by moving slowly but steady. A slow-release attack has to wait for the release of sockets by legitimate request before consuming them one after other. For a website with a high volume, it may take some time. The process can be further delayed if legitimate sessions are initiated again. But the end of the day, if the attack has unresolved slow release, then it can go through like a tortoise and it will eventually win the race. If unmitigated or undetected slow release, attacks can also go on for long periods. When attack sockets timeout, slow release usually initiated the connection again, continuing the overwhelm of the web server until it's resolved. Made for stealth and efficiency, slow release can be redesigned to send different host server if a virtual host of a target and logs are kept separately for each virtual host. More importantly, during an attack, slow release can configure or surface the creation of log file. The implication of this is to get the attack that can be unmonitored and also server off guard without any red flags appearing in the entities of log files. So slow-release attacks can take place in couple of steps. So first, an attacker decide on the server to target. Then popular servers affected by slow-release including Apache, Verizon, Flask, and WebSense. The attack began by sending out partial HTTP request. The HTTP request never complete and then it tricked the server. As a result, the targeted server begins opening up anticipation for the HTTP request to complete the process. And then the HTTP headers are introduced to the traffic flow. And then the HTTP headers also got never completed. Eventually, legitimate connection became impossible. And the reason for this is that it constant flow of HTTP requests and headers that overflow or overload the connection pool. The IDS never noticed the issue occurring as a request or not, and at least in theory it's malicious. So before the sysadmin or blue team can react, the server is knocked out from the commission. So let's talk about now who are those attackers. So the motives of cyber criminals who use slow release are no different which from those who launch the traditional DDoS attack. So their motives are many and it vary, ranging from extortion, harming the competitors, etc. Then invade the political protest. So the goal, however, is always the same, causing the victim organization as much as damage possible. So the script is so easy to use that it doesn't need any prior technical advertise. Even you can do it, and I will show you how to do this attack in practically in our next lecture. So as I said, script is so easy and it doesn't need any prior technical advertise to initialize this attack. So who is impacted? So Snorris is primarily a threat to web server that use the threaded process and attempt to limit them to prevent running out of memory. So Apache servers that allow direct access to the internet are most of the time affected. So vulnerable systems include Apache 1, Apache 2, DHTTPD, and also Go Ahead Web Server. So that's all of those are impacted using slow release. So finally, DDoS attacks, as I said, can be carried out not only with a large scale method such as huge botnet. All that need is slow release attack to single computer that continuously flood the server attack with a partial request, thus blocking harmless requests. So in a slow release attack, only the web server being attacked is still impacted and all other services remain unaffected. So the consequences of such an attack can be mitigated by specific configuration on the web server. Protection is possible, load balancer and web application firewall, and ensure that only complete HTTP requests reach the server that can successfully slow down slow release. So in our next lecture, I will demonstrate this attack, how you can use this slow release DDoS attack to crash or totally stop any website that you want. So in this lecture, we'll perform a slow release DDoS attack using Kali Linux machine. So the slow release has couple of uses, like slow release send multiple requests to the target. As a result, that generates heavy traffic botnets, and slow release can be used to perform DDoS attack on any web server. It is an open source tool and you can download it from GitHub free of cost, and it uses a perfect legitimate HTTP traffic. So first, the first step, when you need to perform a slow release tool, you need to make sure you using a Kali Linux machine as your virtual machine, not your main machine. And as you can see, I am using Kali Linux as my virtual machine in here. So make sure you do this step. You can use other Linux distributor, but I will highly suggest you to use Kali Linux because this is the best operating system for penetration testing. So first, open your terminal in your Kali Linux machine. So then you can create a new directory, or you can just simply use slow release in here in desktop, or otherwise you can use directory, you can use other directories. So first let's go to slow release GitHub. So go click this file. This is the important file that you need to copy. So make sure you copy this file. As you can see, this is the simple process how this works after you git cloning this slow release into your device. So python slow release.py, I'll be also showing you that. So but first, give you a head up. So 100 is the total number of socket that you want to send, and 10 is the timer period that you open socket and create any. So what you need to do is you need to just copy this, clicking this. So what you need to do, you need to copy this, then go to your terminal. You can go to other directories and save those repositories onto these directories, but for this testing purpose I will be using root on my desktop because currently I am on my root. So let's go to our desktop directory, cd. So let's go to desktop, let's copy our directory, paste clipboard. So as you can see, we are now right into our desktop. So let's place ls. As you can see, we are right into in our desktop. You can just make a directory call or folder call, make directory and folder name storage to install this repository onto this folder, but this repository comes with a folder, so I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to git clone our repository that we copied. So just paste this or that you copied, paste clipboard. Okay, sorry, I need to copy again. As you can see, it is git cloning and it's done. So this is our slowloris file or slowloris tool that we will use to DDoS attack. Because otherwise you cannot use slowloris. It is not built in like any other tools. So we have successfully installed slowloris tool in our Kali Linux. Now it's time to perform a denial of service or DDoS attack. So let's clear our screen. So we are now into desktop, so we have to go to this folder. So just type cd slash okay, let's list this file so that it can be easy. Cd slash as, then press tab. Okay, cd slow LORIS slow and so we are now into our this slowloris folder. So list all of those files that are in our slowloris. So this is our main file that we will be using. This is our Python script, which is slowloris script. So first let's try our web server using this DDoS attack to see how if this works on our web server or not. So let's go to our web server to see if it's running or not. As you can see, my web server is running completely. As you can see, it's fully running. Every refresh is working because this is a home server, because I just, for simplicity, this is the home page that I just created for my web server or for our this Linux machine web server. As you can see, this is perfectly working. So we'll be using DDoS attack in this machine or in this server. So the first thing you need to do, you need to check whether your web server is active or not. To see, just type service apache2 status. As you can see, my web server is running. So let's now run our slowloris tool and use DDoS attack onto our server first. Then I will show you an other website. So just type python 3, then type the script name, which is slowloris py, capital S slowloris.py. Then we'll use -s, then we'll select some, then we'll use our server, which is 127.0.0.1, 127.0.0.1. So then, as you can see, we are using the same way that we are using. You can also use using Python. So let's use, as they are saying, is to use as Python. Okay, let's use as Python slurries. So we will using this. You can also use -s, then the socket like 500. Okay. So let's define our port. Our port is 80. Then the socket 500. Then time is 10. I think there is some problem with this Slurries version. So let's search for another Slurries. Okay, let's use this one. I think that version of Slurries has some error. So same way, just use cd our desktop address is /home kali. So we'll git clone using copy this. Okay, this will work. Just git clone this, paste clipboard. Okay, now we have two different Slurries version, as you can see. So we'll be using the recent one that we now installed on our machine. So let's just go cd Slurries. So list all of the file. Just type python slow. What is the code name? Slurries. Then we'll be using our server, which is 127.0.0.1 -s, and we'll use socket, which is 500. Okay. We didn't go to our directory. Slowloris.py. As you can see, it is now running. And if we just reload our page, and as you can see, nothing won't work because it will continuously send sockets within this server, and it will overload your web page and it will crash, or it will just simply not work. As you can see, it will continue running until you stop pressing by Ctrl+C. And as you can see, it is loading and loading because we are using this into our web server. So as you can see, it is started attacking into this particular IP address that we have selected, and so as you can see, this is only loading and not opening this. This is how this Slurries tool works. And as you can see in here, as you can see, this continues at the left side. It is waiting for IP addresses because this server is not able to load. So this is using on our server. So let's use this website. This is my country's website. So let's use this website to see if this works or not. So it will continue running. So let's press Ctrl+C to stop the attack. and right, if you reload this, as you can see, it will instantly working. So that's how this tool works. So let's use our this website, which is, as you can see, running. So simply same step, just in here you need to give the website or address that you want to attack. As you can see, so we will also use this same 500 socket. As you can see, it keeps running. So let's go to our, and as you can see, this website, which is a HTTPS website, this method is also work. You can crash any other website or immediately stop all of those works into this website. So this is because of the denial of service attack which is happening behind this browser using slow loading tool. So if you want to attack the live website, that you can attack using a domain name of the website instead of the given IP address of the system. As you can see, it is totally worked, and Solaris tool is attacking that particular address and it stops working this website. So if you visit or anyone visit this website, it will just simply stop. It will simply just not load and it will not work. So that's how this Solaris tool works. Hello everyone. So in this lecture I am going to give you an example of DDoS attack. And we're going to use this Kali Linux machine on my virtual machine, and we're going to use a tool that is pre-installed on Kali Linux or any Linux distributor, which is hping. So hping is an excellent command line oriented TCP or IP packet assembler or analyzer, the interface which is inspired by the ping or Unix command, but each being isn't been able to send the ICMP request it to support the TCP or IDMP or EDP or ICMP and raw IP protocols. As a trace route mode, the ability to send files between a covered channel and many other features. So subset of the stuff that you can do is using hping is firewall testing, advanced port scanning, network testing using different protocol, fragmentation, manual path, MTU discovery, advanced trace route under all the supported protocol, remote OS and fingerprinting, remote uptime guessing, and don't forget the TCP or IP stack. So it's been, or it can be useful to the student that are learning the TCP or IP, although it's a packet analyzer tool which is widely used for DDoS attack or DDoS or denial of service test and attacks to create the IP or spoof the packets and send them to the target system. So let's see how we can use the hping command to scan the network. So simply open your Kali Linux or any Linux distributor and open up the terminal and just simply just type hping3 is command help. So hping3 is embedded in a colony and defined in the path. So you can use it anywhere, just typing the name in the command like hping3. This is the command, and just we're gonna type hping3 for and -help to see the detailed uses of the hping3 command. So let's look at the few parameters in here. First, under the mode title, we have like scan mode, and the help shows a sample uses of the mode as well. So we will use scan or parameter to use each ping and scan mode under the TCP or UDP title. So we have a parameter to set the flag of TCP or IDP packets. So you see the flags and meanings in this here. As you can see, lots of command in here to define all of those, how it works. Now for example, uppercase S, so not this, so uppercase S scene for set scene flag. It is used to set the scene flag of TCP or IDP packets. So let's prepare the command to make a network scan. So the first parameter is scan to use the hping scan mode. So we should say which port. So let's just type hping 3 dash scan. So it will be connected on scan mode. So under this 0 to 500 means the port between 0 and the 500 will scan, and you can give a port range in here, and with a dash between S means the IP address that we are going to assign. So just okay, I did some mistake. So in here, as you can see, I did one dash, it will have a double dash. So just type this here and it will scan this port and port under 0 to 500, and as you can see, it will find I only have couple of ports open, and so on 21 it has flag FTP and HTTP port on 80. Now I want to set the scene flag of the packet, because all the TCP connection start with a scene pack. So again we will show you how a TCP handshake is made later. So here comes the IP address that we are going to scan it. Just scan, and we have this like no responding ports in here. As you can see, we have no responding ports, and the flag comment says that what the reply is sent that on the scene packets, that means that in here couple of those are accessible and open as previously, but in here none of them are open, because we are going to use this -x to make a scan in the scan mode, and for the scene flag set to the packet which is not seen in a regular traffic. So since the packet received has no valid packet, so they drop them and return, so there is no response, as you can see. So I would like to show you how to perform a IP spoof on the DOS or denial of service attack using this hping tool to attack any server that you want, or any web server, or any like router or server that you have want for the testing purpose. So for the testing purpose, I am going to connect, and okay, let's test on a okay, let's test on my server. So let's test on this is the my our TP-Link router mode. So as you can see, it's totally connected. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna test on my router server. So what you have to do now is you have to just type hping 3. This is the hping tool, and where we have a connection, so we are gonna have a flag parameter. So which means it will send packets as fast as possible to make it a scene flood attack. And as I said, it is scene flood using a as parameter. When I said the syntax, since this is the legitimate TCP handshake, that the server will try to respond all the packets on this at the start of TCP communication. So the server will be very busy, and the and that means that we would like to see the result in a send packets. So the next parameter is random source. So this parameter will randomize the source IP address as if they are requested by a different system. So the attack is distributed the denial of service attack. So since the IP address will be, so let's just define my router IP address 192.168.1.1. So this is my router IP address. As you can see, this is the 192 router IP address. As previously I showed you that this works on without the attack, DOS attack. So we are gonna try and use the DOS attack to test. So let's just type enter. So as you can see, this is in a ping is in flood mode. So if we want to just press enter, as you can see, this will just load and load and load, and it will not give you anything because it entered to the and started the attack. Because we are in a flood mode, no pages or no replies will be shown. As you can see, this will not load because it's under attack. So it will just wait and wait. Obviously, as you can see, it's just reloading and reloading. So this is how a simple denial of service attack is performed. So let's show you. Let's just cancel by pressing Ctrl C, and as you can see, instantly it just loaded. So as you can see, in less than a minute, thousands, 1,000 millions, I think, thousands packets were transmitted on this specific site. You can use this on any website as you want. So let's try this on my favorite is live score website. So as you can see, this website is pretty much running. So we are gonna use this website for testing purpose. As you can see, every link is running. So we are gonna use on this website www.socarware.com. let's just try. Okay, so if you just click any website, this will not load. As you can see, this will just keep loading and loading and loading. It will not work because it's under attack. Because no packet received and we randomize the source IP address of this packet, this means that the response was sent to the different IP addresses. This is why we didn't receive any packets. So if we just press Ctrl C to cancel this and just press this again, this page, as you can see, this is loaded pretty much instantly. So let's try this again, but we're gonna check. So now let's repeat this attack while Wireshark is running. So let's just open Wireshark. As you can see, not many packets are in here, only 10 packets. So if we just go to this Socarware, also not many, like thousands, 2,000, 3,000. So we are gonna just now try the DOS attack in here and see how many in a second it will. As you can see, in seconds it will giving packets, and all of those are TCP packets. As you can see, let's just maximize this. You can see 83,000 in a second. So as you can see, there is still some packets because if you just restart this loaded, this will be taking a lot of resources in my virtual machines that is getting unresponsive. So that's how you can just use this attack and repeat this attack using and getting this intercept interface and check the Wireshark to get the TCP packets. As you can see, lots and thousands and millions of packets are sent in a second. So let's just, okay, this is unresponsive now. So let's just stop it in here, and that's how this DOS attack usually works.
Hello there. So in this course I'll show you guys sniping attacks. So in sniping attacks, first I will show you guys sniping using ARP poisoning and ARP spoofing and more. And inside this I will show some advanced ARP poisoning and ARP spoofing attacks and full demonstration. After completing that, I will show you guys sniping with wind dump and TCP dump full demonstration. And after that, I will show you guys Wireshark for sniping demonstration. After completing Wireshark, I will show you guys sniping with DNS poisoning. And inside DNS poisoning with sniping, first I will show DNS poisoning definition and basics. After that, I will show DNS poisoning under the hood, and after that I will show you guys DNS poisoning next level demonstration. After completing that, I will show DNS poisoning for setting up proxy servers and DNS poisoning for cache. After completing that, I will show DNS poisoning full demonstration. After that, I will show you guys advanced man in the middle writing script converting downloads to Trojan on fly. And after completing that, I will show even more advanced methods for sniping, like flooding, spoofing and poisoning together demonstration. After completing that, I will show advanced man in the middle attack and demonstration. I will show some SSL strips and advanced use of EtherCap demonstration. After completing that, I will show you guys Cain and Abel demonstration, and after that I will show you guys sidejacking and sniping. After completing advanced man in the middle, more advanced method for sniping, I will show you guys real world example of sniping Hello there. Let's talk about information gathering using Net Discover. So, Net Discover is an active passive address recognize reconnaissance tool mainly developed for those wireless networks without DHCP server when you are web driving. It can be also used on hub switched networks. Three captured ARP ray packets is here. So uses net discover and command I device are for range L file P S time I device your network device P passive mode. Do not send anything, only snipe. And a filter customize P cap filter expression S time to sleep between each ARP request. N node last IP octet used for scanning. C count number of times to send each ARP request. F enable fast mode scan saves a lot of time. Recommended for auto. D ignore home config files for auto scan and fast mode. S enable sleep time supersession between each request. P for print results in a format suitable for parsing by another. Now in Kali Linux, in the feature information gathering, you found net discover. This is uses net discover. Device your network or range scan a given range instead of auto scan. Is enable sleep time suppression between each request. And do not print header minus L similar to minus P but continue listening after the active scan is completed. If minus R minus L or minus P are not enabled, net discover will scan for common LAN. And IP add net discover mainly developed for those wireless networks without DHCP server. When you are driving, it can be also used on half switched networks. IP MAC address currently scanning. Net Discover is another discovery tool and is built into Kali Linux in 2018. Currently at the 3 beta pre-beta 7 version written by Jamie Penelba. Net Discover can reform reconnaissance and discovery on the both wireless and switched. And to launch net discover, type net discover -h to view the usage options. And should you only type the net discover command by itself, net discover will launch a default scan. To scan a range of IPs, type net discover -r followed by the IP range. For example, net discover -r, then targeted number 192.168.0. And it is a pre-installed tool in Kali Linux. If you are using Kali Linux, then you don't need to install NetDiscover. No doubt Nmap is best tool for scanning network, but NetDiscover is also good tool for finding internal IP address and MAC address. So this tool is continuously exist on Kali Linux repository. Before it was in Backtrack repository as well. Open a text editor. Lots of switches can be used with different manners for getting desired result. NetDiscover work only in internal network, so you must know network you are connecting. Use following command like hash if config. This command IP and MAC address. So all the IP addresses and MAC addresses. Let's talk about JNMap. What is JNMap? JNMap is an free and open source GUI for Nmap. It is available on many operating systems like Linux, Windows, Mac, OS X, BSD, or many more. Nmap is used to gather information about any device. Using the Nmap, we can gather information about any client that is written on network or outside our network, and we can gather information about clients just by knowing their IP. Nmap can be used to bypass firewalls as well as kinds of protection and security measures. Some basic features of Nmap: easy to use, repeatable, comparison, interactive, and graphical result viewing. So Nmap Network Mapper is the second program that we are going to look. It is a huge tool and has many uses. Nmap is used to gather information about any device. Using the Nmap, we can gather information about any client that is within our network or outside our network. And we can gather information about clients just by knowing their IP. Nmap can be used to bypass firewalls as well as kinds of protection and security measures. In this section, we are going to learn some of the basic Nmap commands that can be used to discover clients that are connected to our network and also discover the open ports or on these clients. We are going to use a Nmap, which is the graphical user interface for Nmap. If we type Nmap on the terminal, we will bring up the application. And in this tutorial, we will have a closer look and how to use Nmap in Kali Linux, from getting familiar with the interface to understanding its role in the information gathering process in ethical hacking. Furthermore, you will learn how to use Nmap to scan a network, configure scanning profiles, use the advanced topology option, read and compare scanning results, and how to save Nmap scan profiles for future. This is the graphical interface of Nmap, and here is my targeted IP 192.168.43.1/24, and the command is nmap t4. Nmap is basically a free and open source graphical frontend for Nmap, and Nmap usually comes pre-packaged with Nmap but can also be downloaded separately from the official Nmap website. By all means, Nmap is not intended to replace Nmap but rather to complement an already powerful utility with additional features such as Profile Manager, Command Creator. Like Profile Manager, select from a drop-down menu which scanning profile you want to apply to a target IPs, or save your own favorite Nmap command profile for further scans. And Command Sector is Nmap option allows you to create your own Nmap custom commands and save them for later use. There is also several options like output classification, compare scan results, usability is easy to use. So output classification organized scan results on categories such as ports, hosts, discovered services, host details, or many more. Nmap's topology view is a handy way of visualizing a map of discovered network. Compare scan results. You can compare one or multiple scan results to check whether hosts or services are new or changed their status over time. And usability, you can save a scan as a new profile and run it as many times as you need without remembering the underlying nmap command. Easy of use. As a beginner, ethical hacker, or pen tester, you can find Nmap's comprehensive lists of commands and flags intimidating. Nmap is aimed to be a beginner-friendly alternative to Nmap without compromising on the more advanced option provided by Nmap in command line. So here is the result I gather. And Nmap used to be installed by default in Kali under the information gathering category, but disappeared starting with version 2020. So where is Nmap is Kali now? The answer is nowhere, since Nmap was built using the now deprecated Python 2 libraries and it stopped being supported upstream once Python 2 reached the end of life in January 2020. And after installed, you will find Zenmap in the Kali Linux menu or simply by running the sudo zenmap command in the terminal. And you can target a single IP or IP range like a multiple IP multi-target. Command, this field is my command field is showing the nmap command for the scan you performed above. You can further add nmap command flags options in this field to find additional details on a target machine if needed. The below capture shows the nmap command and flags used for the instance scan. And host services, the section will list the hosts and services discovered during a Zenmap scanning session. Click on the hosts button to list all the alive discovered hosts in the capture below. I ran a Zenmap scan for IPs in my network and discovered hosts that are alive. The output area, the output section consists of 5 tabs: nmap output, ports, hosts, topology, host details, scans. Once the scan is completed, navigate through the output tabs to find the scan results. And the nmap output tab shows the output for all operations performed during a scan. This is basically the output. And the ports hosts show the list of open ports and services discovered during a Zenmap scanning session. If you scan multiple targets, you can browse through the hosts section and check which ports and services were discovered on the selected target. And the topology tab is a very cool Zenfacer that provides you a visual map of all the targets discovered during a scan and how they are interconnected. This is probably one of the features that make Zenmap such a powerful tool. You can zoom in and out, rearrange the nodes, get target details, choose layouts, save the graphic on your local machine, to say the least. So guys, let's talk about MITM. This is man in the middle attack using ARP poisoning. Man in the middle attack implies an active attack where the attacker creates a connection between the victims and sends messages between them, or may capture all the data packets from the victims. In this case, the victims think that they are communicating with each other, but in reality, the malicious attacker or hacker controls the communication. A third person exists to control and monitor the traffic of communication between the two parties, client and server. And in cryptography and computer security, a man in the middle, monster in the middle, machine in the middle, monkey in the middle, middler in the middle, or person in the middle attack is a cyber attack. So types of man in the middle attack. Here we will discuss the types of man in the middle attacks as follows. Number 1, ARP spoofing. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. This protocol is used for resolving IP addresses to machine MAC addresses. All the devices which want to communicate in the network broadcast ARP queries in the system to find out the MAC addresses of other machines. ARP spoofing is also known as ARP poisoning. In this ARP poisoning, ARP packets are forced to send data to the attacker's machine. ARP spoofing constructs a huge number of forced ARP requests and replies packets to overload the switch. The intention of the attacker, all the network packets and switch set in forwarding mode. And number 2, DNS spoofing. Similar to ARP, DNS resolves domain names to IP addresses. DNS spoofing is very dangerous because in this case a hacker will be able to hijack and spoof any DNS request made by the user and can serve the user fake web pages, fake websites, fake login pages, fake updates, and so on. And a man in the middle attack is a general term for when a perpetrator positions himself in a conversation between a user and an application. So, man in the middle attack techniques. Here we'll discuss the man in the middle attack techniques as follows, like packet sniping, session hijacking, SSL stripping, packet injection. So man in the middle attack using ARP spoofing. Step 1, ARP spoofing. It allows us to redirect the flow of packets in a computer network. The goal of an attack is to steal personal information such as login credentials, account details, and credit card numbers. Targets are typically the users of financial applications, SaaS businesses, e-commerce sites, and other websites. Look, it allows us to redirect the flow of packets in computer network, and the example is how hacker steal information from client. And step 2, but when hacker becomes man in the middle by ARP spoofing, and step 3, and this is Kali Linux command. To run this attack we need two things: victim's machine's IP address and the IP of gateway. And the output result is like this in Windows machine by command prompt. And another one is Kali Linux attacker machine. And this is the interface of Kali Linux. And ARP's probe attack command is given here. Let's open Linux terminal and command sysctl -w net dot ip version 4 dot ip underscore forward equal 1 net dot ip version 4 dot ip forward equal 1. Now open ethercap. Now opening ethercap. Sniping. Two types of sniping. Unfield sniping. It shows need ethercap input network interfaces. Simply click OK and start unfield sniping in ethercap. And its current targets. Multiple target you can attack. I give my targeted IP address. Simply click OK. So go MTM attack, ARP poisoning, and victim 1 and victim 2. Give command TCP dump -I E to ETH 0 port 80 and target Host 192.168.1.102. And sorry, it's node -n and port 80. Watch carefully what I shown in this video, and how this is how you guys can attack any IP addresses by the help of man in the middle. So man in the middle attack is totally illegal, guys. Don't try this anywhere. We do not promote hacking. We are documenting the way hackers steal and perform activities, so it can be useful to protect yourself. And MITM is anyone there who knows anything about this. Most of the websites tell you how to do MITM in HTTP websites, but in this tutorial you will learn how to do man in the middle attack on HTTPs, and how hackers snipe your personal information like username, passwords, or many more. Doesn't matter if you are using a high security type website. Most of the people ask me how to do attack on HTTPS websites. There are many tools of MITM which can convert an HTTPS request into HTTP and then snipe credentials. And it is a kind of attack which can be done only the private network. You can do this on public network. In this attack, we set up MITMP in Kali. Suppose a person in the same networks search facebook.com, then the packet with request of facebook.com will go to the router, and then router forward this request to the Facebook server. But if we set up MITM in Kali, then all the requests of victim's PC which is going to the router. The goal of an attack is to steal personal information. Targets are typically the users of financial applications. Information obtained during an attack could be used for many purposes, including identity theft, unapproved fund transfers, or an illegal password change. Additionally, it can be used to gain a foothold inside a secured perimeter during the infiltration stage of an advanced persistent threat assault. Broadly speaking, a MITM attack is the equivalent of a million opening your bank account statement, writing down your account details, and then reselling the envelope and delivering it to your door. Successful MITM execution has two distinct phases: interception and decryption. In interception, the first step intercepts user traffic through the attacker's network before it reaches its intended destination. The most common way of doing this is a passive attack, in which an attacker makes free, malicious passwords hotspots available to the public, typically named in a way that corresponds to their location. They aren't password protected. Once a victim connects to such a hotspot, the attacker gains full visibility to any online data exchange. And attackers wishing to take a more active approach to interception may launch one of the following attacks like IP spoofing, ARP spoofing, DNS spoofing. So IP spoofing involves an attacker disguising himself as an application by alerting packet headers in a IP address. And ARP spoofing is the process of linking an attacker's MAC address with the IP address of a legitimate user on a local area network using fake ARP messages. And DNS spoofing, also known as DNS cache poisoning, involves infiltrating a DNS server and altering a website's address record. As a result, users attempting to access the site are sent by the altered DNS record to the attacker's site. And decryption: after interception, any two-way SSL traffic needs to be decrypted without alerting the user of application. A number of methods exist to achieve this, like HTTPS spoofing, SSL beast, SSL hijacking, SSL stripping. So guys, that's it for today. Hope you guys liked it, and thanks for watching. Hello there. Let's talk about Cain and Abel. So it is a password cracking software. Password cracking using Cain and Abel. According to the official website, Cain and Abel is a password recovery tool for Microsoft operating system. It allows easy recovery of various kinds of passwords by snifing the network, cracking encrypted passwords using dictionary, brute force and cryptanalysis attacks, recording VoIP conversations, decoding scrambled passwords, recovering wireless networks keys, revealing password boxes, uncovering cached password, and analyzing routing protocols. The latest version is faster and contains a lot of new features like ARP poison routing, which enables sniping on switched LANs and man in the attack. So let's download Cain and Abel. Just search it, Cain and Abel. Download from Oxid. After downloading, I can run this. Install first Cain and Abel. Simply next and finish. Click finish. Just open it. What say Windows Firewall is enabled, some Kane's features will not work correctly. Okay. This is the interface of this Kane enable cracker. Delete all entities. Now here is a many cracker like KLM and NTLM hashes, NTLM version 2 hashes, MS cache hashes, Cisco IOS MD5 hashes, Cisco Fix MD5 hashes. This tool is able to recover many passwords using various methods. Most commonly, the methods used are brute force attack, let's setting it. The method are brute force attack, dictionary attack, and cryptanalysis attack. However, Cain and Abel also utilizes the method like sniping the network, recording VoIP conversations, recording wireless network keys, decoding scrambled passwords, uncovering cached passwords, revealing password boxes, analyzing routing protocols. And Cain and Abel utilizes dictionary lists as the basic for recovering passwords. It uses brute force attacks by trying unique passwords at a high speed, and decoding data is stored on the hard drive. The packages tries to determine the right password. Cryptanalysis attacks are doing using rainbow tables, which can be created with the exe program, Jane exe program. Just setting the decoder. The most recent version of the Cain and Abel software is quicker and has various new features like ERP poison routing APR, is used to strike into a LAN orchestrate by sniping into any related orchestrate and examining high security traditions like AS1 and HTTPs. Dictionary you can now attack by dictionary attack or brute force attack. And in dictionary attack you find ALM hashes, remove all files first and add to list from my computer, local disk, program files, Cain, word list. Select add to list. I can go in old list, open, just select options as is password, just check this checkbox. So it's free with no hidden charges at all, and it includes various password cracking methods. Recovering simple passwords is quick and easy. You can use Cain and Abel to test the strength of your password policies to help you provide added password security, and it works with Windows XP, Old NT, and Windows 2000. Again, dictionary attack. Start. Position 156. LM add to NT hashes from include password history. According to the official website, Cannondable is a password recovery tool for Microsoft operating system. Just select NL hashes, and it is brute force attack, predefined. Cannondable is a tool that will be quite useful for network administrators, teachers, professional penetration testers, security consultants, professionals, forensic staff, and security software vendors. And the system must be some requirements like at least 10 MB hard disk space, Microsoft Windows XP Vista OS or WinPack packet driver, AR cap packet driver. So what is SSL stripping? What is the threat of SSL stripping attacks? After the successful implementation of an SSL strip attack, the victim's information is transferred in plain text format and can be easily intercepted by anyone, including the attacker. This results in a breach in the integrity and confidentiality of personal identifiable information such as login credentials, bank accounts, sensitive business data. Hence, the threat of this vulnerability is easily understood and may have varying implications to your digital presence. Your business relies on encrypted communications to transact securely across the edge to the endpoint. But what if you can't trust the identifying certificates on each and each end of the channel? Without this trust, you can't engage in e-commerce web transactions and online banking that your consumers now rely on without having a second thought about security. SSL stripping attacks can work only on websites that encrypt only their login page. Hence, websites that use both HTTP and HTTPS in their setup are vulnerable to SSL stripping attacks. The question to be answered now is this: what can we do secure ourselves against this threat? Is that adoption of HTTPS and Chrome updates? Stripping away the encryption offered by HTTPS, called SSL strip, is a serious cyber threat to many corporations since their employees are constantly on the move and require access to internet on the go even through open non-secure Wi-Fi hotspots. Once attackers gain access to a network, they can act as a man in the middle (MITM) to intercept connections over the network. These interception tracks tactics can also be deployed against wired networks provided that someone gains access to an Ethernet port. The crack attack effectively demonstrated that corporate users can't blindly trust the medium that connects them to the internet. SSL TLS is a secure protocol used to communicate sensitive information. This protocol is used when exchanging sensitive data such as banking information and email correspondence. For example, the protocol security is established by creating an encrypted connection between two parties. Browsers and web servers regularly use this protocol when a secure connection is needed. In most scenarios, the following events take place when establishing a secure connection. Like number 1, the user sends an unsecured HTTP request. Number 2, the server answers HTTP and redirects the user to a secure protocol HTTPS. And number 3, the user sends a secure HTTPS request and the secure session begins. This process provides a reasonable guarantee of both privacy and integrity. In other words, we don't just encrypt the messages we're sending, we make sure the message we receive isn't altered over the wire. And SSL stripping or SSL downgrade attack is an attack used to circumvent the security enforced by SSL certificates on HTTPS enabled websites. How the SSL strip attack works. In order to strip the SSL, an attacker invents in the redirection of the HTTP to the secure HTTPS protocol and interprets a request from the user to the server. The attacker will then continue to establish an HTTPS connection between himself and the server, and an unsecured HTTP connection with the user, acting as a bridge between them. Look at this picture. Victim system, SSL encrypted website, and between them attacker behavior is just like a bridge. In other words, SSL stripping is a technique that downgrades your connection from secure HTTPS to insecure HTTP and exposes you to eavesdropping and data manipulation. HTTP and HTTPS are the application layer protocols in a TCP/IP model as illustrated in the figure below. HTTP uses a secure tunnel to transfer and receive data, which is commonly called SSL. TLS, secure socket layer, transport layer security, and therefore the suffix S is added to HTTPS. So let's watch this. I can show you. Just type redentify.com and open Cain and Abel. redentify.com. Now go to command prompt in Windows Server. Now search http facebook.com. Successful sign out the profile and need password to enter. So target IP and target profile is this profile, Facebook profile. So now in VirtualBox, go to Linux. I open my Linux terminal, and on the other hand I open Windows command prompt. I give some command. Copy this IP tables. Here is port 8080. Just copy and paste in Linux terminal. Then copy this line. Then again paste Linux terminal. Just edit some line and 192.168.95.131 minus R. Again 192.168.95.2. What need is shit, comment not found. Now it says successfully running. Let's talk about EtherCap. What is EtherCap? It is a packet capture tool that can write packets back onto the network. Thus, data streams can be diverted and altered on the fly. The system can also be used for protocol analysis to analyze network traffic and work out which applications generate the most traffic. There is a graphical user interface for EtherCap, and it is also possible to use EtherCap at the command line. However, the interface is not so what. Moreover, given the high standard of network monitoring tools that network administrators are used to nowadays, it is unlikely that you would get EtherCap to perform network traffic analysis. The most common uses for EtherCap are man-in-the-middle attacks through ARP poisoning. Additionally, hackers use this tool, and you can use it for penetration testing. EtherCap operating system packages and binaries. EtherCAP common. EtherCAP supports active and passive detection of many protocols and includes manufacture for network and host analysis, data injection in an established connection, and filtering, keeping the connection synchronized. Many sniffing modes are implemented for a powerful and complete sniffing suite. It is possible to sniff in four modes: IP based, MAC based, ARP based, and public ARP based half duplex. EtherCAP also has the ability to detect a switched LAN and to use OS fingerprints to find the geometry of the LAN. This package contains the common support files, configuration files, plugins, and documentation. So using EtherCAP, you can test the resilience of your system settings by running a range of white hat hacker attacks in a penetration testing exercise with the EtherCAP utilities. The episodes you can emulate are man in the middle attacks, DNS spoofing, credentials capture, DOS attack. Let's take a look at each of these attacks and how you can implement them with EtherCAP. Man in the middle attacks. In a man in the middle attack, each side in network conversation thinks they are exchanging data with each other but communicating with the hacker. For example, it connects to B, but the hacker intercepts the connection request and responds to A, pretending to be. Optionally, at the same time, the hacker might connect to B pretending to be A. This second connection would be necessary to extract data from B that will enable. Let's open the tools EtherCAP. This is IP address and MAC address, some host list. So it is a free and open source network security tool for man in the middle attacks on LAN. It can be used for computer network protocol analysis and security auditing. It runs on various Unix like operating systems including Linux, Mac OS, BSD and Solaris, and on Microsoft Windows. So let's do ARP poisoning. Add to target this IP. Give command. Let's open Wireshark and find here my targeted IP. Give here targeted IP address, and the command is IP address equal 192.168. Let's go website. So it cannot sign in because I write invalid student ID or password. inside a shark. Let's find. The ether camp can climb difficult surfaces also, including upside down on ceilings without needing to make an ability check. So here is gathering some information. Domain name, user, datagram, protocol, internet protocol version, frame, ethernet, and source also. Let's open Wireshark again and gather some information inside Wireshark. So this is how you guys can gather information by ethercap using Wireshark, help of Wireshark. In my safety purpose, Hello there, let's talk about sniping. So what is sniping? What are the different types of sniping? How does sniping work? And how do we safeguard our systems against sniping? In this video tutorial, I show you guys. So what is sniping? Capturing packets, moving from source to destination on a network and extracting information by an unintended entity. Sniper is known as sniping. Is it like right packets from source to destination, unintended entity, man in the middle attack? Is it wiretapping? Yes. Sniping. What are the different types of sniping? Active sniping, passive sniping, passive connected to LAN in promiscuous mode and listening to all broadcast coming from hub. Active, tempering the expected behavior of device by flooding or poisoning and manipulating it to capture packets. There is some overview. So sniping, how does sniping work and what are the different tools to carry out sniping? Data passing through OSI layers, devices on specific OSI layers, unicast and broadcast, ARP and DNS poisoning or traffic flooding against switch. Promiscuous mode, it allows the device to read each frame that it can listen to, whether it is intended for it or not. It also allows frames to pass through the data link layer and reach at the network layer even when it is not supposed to. NIC must support the promiscuous. And how do we safeguard our systems against sniping? Passive sniping is not detectable. Avoid using hubs. Monitoring for malicious activity can be done by tools such as ping tool. Active sniping can be detected by IDS. Use DNSSEC If you have DNS in your environment, make sure host file is protected by admin 802.1x configuration for authentication. So let's see how it works. In Kali Linux, open terminal. The basic concept of sniping tools is as simple as wiretapping, and Kali Linux has some popular tools. So sniping and spoofing. Wireshark. Let's open Wireshark. This is the interface of Wireshark. Wireshark is one of the best data packet analyzers. It analyzes deeply the packets in frame level. You can get more information on Wireshark from their official web page. In Kali, it is found using the following path. I just open sometime earlier. Applications, then goes sniping and spoofing, then find Wireshark. So start and packet capturing will start as I show in this video. And sniping is the process in which all the data packets passing in the network are monitored. Snipers are usually used by network administrators to monitor and to troubleshoot the network traffic, whereas attackers use snipers to monitor and capture data packets to steal sensitive information containing password and user accounts. Snipers can be hardware or software installed on the system. So it is actually network protocol analyzer Wireshark, and that is termed to be most used and best tool around the world. With Wireshark you can see what is happening in your network and apply filters to get the most efficient results for what you are looking for. In Kali Linux, Wireshark is already pre-installed and can be located under applications. How you can capturing packets. My packet capturing is running. Source destination protocol is ICMP. Some information gathering. Network snipers are programs that capture low-level package data that is transmitted over a network. An attacker can analyze this information to discover valuable information such as user IDs and passwords. In this article or tutorial, whatever you say, we will introduce and a common network sniping techniques have been shown. We will also look at countermeasures that you can put in place to protect sensitive information being transmitted over a network and capture sensitive data such as login credentials, eavesdrop on chat messages. Capture files have been transmitted over a network. So here is field name. A hub works by sending broadcast messages to all output ports on it except the one that has sent the broadcast. The recipient computer responds to the broadcast message if the IP address message. This means when using a hub, all the computers on a network can see the broadcast message. It operates at the physical layer of the OSI model, and a switch works differently. It maps IP MAC addresses to physical ports on it. Broadcast messages are sent to the physical ports that match the IP MAC address configurations for the recipient computer. This means broadcast messages are only seen by the recipient computer. Switches operate at the data link layer, layer 2, and network layer, layer 3. Passive sniping is intercepting packages transmitted over a network that uses a hub. It is called passive sniping because it is difficult to detect. It is also easy to perform as the hub sends broadcast messages to all the computers on the network. And active sniping is intercepting packages transmitted over a network that uses a switch. There are two main methods used to snipe with linked networks: ARP poisoning and MAC flooding. Here is ip.src equal 10.0.0.19 double IP, and ip.dst equal 8.8.8.8. I'm gonna sniping this now. The illustration below shows you the steps that you will carry out the complete this task. So open a web app and stop live capture, switch to Wireshark and filter for HTTP protocol lookup, then line based text data, locate post verb with destination. Now I open my command prompt in my Windows machine and give command localweb.com.br and then text, and it's now run this. Just a minute. So I found a 10.0.0176 and protocol. So destination IP, again my terminal. Now give command ftp dot localweb.com.br and invalid command. Why? Okay, good. Now running again. So Wireshark is a great tool to analyze, sort and export this data to other tools. It is used by network administrators to troubleshoot networks and by cybersecurity professionals to find interesting connections and packets for further analysis or protocols in use on the network that could be exploited. Wireshark actually robust and highly configurable passive tool for packet data analysis, capable of filtering data in a variety of ways both during and after a packet capture. So visit this xarp.net, www.xarp.net. I already downloaded. Wireshark depends on the libpcap package in Linux and winpcap in Windows. Installing Wireshark using apt ensures that we also download automatically any dependencies that may exist and also get a version of Wireshark that is compatible with our operating system. Once the installation is finished, Wireshark is added to the applications. So to begin our fast capture, you may double click on the interface that you would like to capture from or highlight it on and click the blue shark fin button. I click already a lots of time. If you're connected to a network that has any activity, you will start to see some packets being captured. Let the snipe run for a while to collect some packets and then press the red square button or capture stop from the menu to stop the capture. Wireshark snipes packets in promiscuous mode by default but can also snipe in monitor mode on compatible wireless interfaces by selecting the capture options then menu. Let's talk about network hacking. Network hacking is gathering an information from network and computers over the internet. Support scanning tutorials. Netcat first. Netcat to scan open ports. Netcat is a very useful and powerful Linux command used by network administrators and security experts for various purposes such as read and write data on a remote computer by using TCP and UDP packets, create new connections with other computers in a network, banner grabbing, or many more. And Netcat actually very useful and powerful Linux command used by network administrators and security experts for various pivoting toolkit. Pivot Suite is a portable, platform independent, and powerful network pivoting toolkit which helps red teamers, penetration testers to use a compromised system to move around inside a network. It is a standalone utility which can use as server or as a client and features supported forward and reverse TCP channeling, supported forward and reverse SOC S5 proxy server, UDP over TCP and TCP over TCP protocol supported. Corporate proxy authentication, NTLM supported. Inbuilt network enumeration functionality, host discovery, port scanning, OS command execution. Pivot suite allows to get access to different compromised hosts and their network. Simultaneously, Wireshark. Wireshark is a GTK plus or minus based network protocol analyzer or sniper that lets you capture and interactively browse the contents of network frames. The goal of the project is to create a commercial quality analyzer for Unix and to give Wireshark features that are missing from closed source snipers. Learn Wireshark commands, Wireshark captures, Wireshark's pcap logs, Wireshark plugin. Then Nikto. Nikto is an open source web server against web servers for multiple items, including over 3,200 potentially dangerous files, CGIGs versions on over 6 to 5 servers, and version specific problems on over 230 servers. Scan items and plugins are frequently updated and can be automatically updated if desired. Works great on both Linux and Windows in Wireshark with a graphical user interface, easy to use, and can reconstruct TCP/IP streams. We'll do a tutorial. I show a tutorial in this video for sniping to use Wireshark. Number 4, Nessus Remote Security Scanner. Recently, we closed source, but is still essentially free. Works with the client-server framework. Nessus is the world's most popular vulnerability scanner, used in over 75000 organizations worldwide. Many of the world's largest organizations are realizing significant cost savings by using Nessus to audit business critical enterprise devices and applications. Number 5, JNMap. JNMap, free open source information gathering suite. JNMap is an free and open source GUI for Nmap. It is available on many operating systems such as Linux, Windows, Mac OS X, BSD, or many more. Nmap is used to gather information about any device. Using the Nmap, we can gather information about any client that is within our network or outside our network, and we can gather information about clients just by knocking their IP. Another one is vulnerability scanning. Every operating system or the services will have some vulnerabilities due to the programming errors. These vulnerabilities are crucial for a successful hack. Backtrack is an excellent mailing list discussing the vulnerabilities in the various systems. The exploit Code writers write exploit codes to exploit these vulnerabilities existing in a system. There are a number of vulnerability scanners available to scan the host for known vulnerabilities. These vulnerability scanners are very important for a network administrator. Last one is port scanning. After you have determined that your target system is alive, the next important step would be to perform a port scan on the target system. There are a wide range of port scanners available for free, but many of them uses outdated techniques for port scanning, which could be easily recognized by the network administrator. Personally, I like to use Nmap, which has a wide range of options. So that's it for today. I hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching.
Hello everyone, so in this lecture I'll be showing you how to install Wireshark both on Windows and Linux. So I'll be using Windows as my main machine to download and install Wireshark, and I'll be using Linux, which is my Kali Linux machine. I'll be using Kali Linux as my virtual machine to install Wireshark in my Kali Linux. So let's go first and install Wireshark on Windows. So simply just type Wireshark Windows and go to their official website, which is wireshark.org, and simply go to Windows installer and download, and it will just download any directory, and it is a small application. Is similar like something like 70-80 MB. So just download it and then just click install or install the downloaded file that you download, which is Wireshark, and always make sure you download the latest version so that you have like stable platform of with no bugs and etc. So don't use the beta version, so always make sure you use the stable and latest version. So click next, click notate, make sure you click all of those because there are the necessary tools for your machine to work Wireshark on Windows. So just click tick all of those and click next. Then Wireshark start. So tick what those shortcuts if you require. So I don't need Wireshark on my menu item. I need Wireshark desktop icon. So associate file extension with Wireshark. So make sure to tick all of those. Then click next. So you have to install Encap for Wireshark to work because sometimes it will crash. As you can see, you must not command net stop Encap, so you have to have Encap to install and work Wireshark properly on Windows. So just tick install Encap, click next. You don't need to tick this. So and it will take a couple of minutes to execute all of those files and install on your directory, and then it will ask you to install the Encap that we previously ticked. So just install Encap, restrict Encap driver, support, install Encap API. So tick those two, you don't need to tick the first one. So after this Encap done installing, then this process will continue. So click next, then finish. As you can see, it is a pretty simple process. So Wireshark can be used both on command line interface and also on graphical user interface. So on Windows we will be using and testing Wireshark on graphical user interface, and then on our Linux machine we will be using Wireshark both on command line and also on graphical user interface. So installation is complete. So click next, finish. So let's open Wireshark. So as you can see, this is my Wi-Fi adapter that is running. As you can see, it is continuously running because I am currently on Wi-Fi. As you can see, my Wi-Fi is running. I am not on adapter or loop traffic. Also my virtual machine is also running. So let's try our Wi-Fi. So as you can see, when we just simply reload a simple page like this, it will continually generate traffic. A simple page load gathered like nearly 300 traffic in a second. So if this page is heavy, then it will generate lots of traffic. So as you can see, most of the traffics are TCP. So we'll talk deeper with these features later on. So we are done with installing Wireshark on Windows. So let's exit. So you can save those files by simply just stop and save. So I don't need to save anything. So let's try to install Wireshark on our Linux machine. So go to your terminal, just type sudo apt install Wireshark, and if your machine doesn't have Wireshark pre-install, a simple one command like this will automatically install Wireshark on most of the Linux distributor. So in Kali Linux, Wireshark is pre-installed. You don't need to do anything. Wireshark is automatically installed. So if not, just simply type this and it will automatically install. Just press Y. So my machine has already Wireshark installed. As you can see, Wireshark is already here. So it's again installing. So as you can see, Wireshark is updating. So I think my Wireshark version was old, that's why it's updating right now. And I think it's nearly done with installing. So very simple. So Wireshark installation is just done. So just simply type Wireshark and it will open Wireshark, as you can see. So ETS0, which is our machine's wired network. So you can generate traffic using this wire network or monitor this traffic using ETS0. Same way we did on our Windows machine. So that's how you install Wireshark both on Windows and Linux.
Hello there, let's talk about DNS poisoning. So what is DNS poisoning? DNS poisoning is a type of spoofing attack in which hackers impersonate another device, client or user. This disguise then makes it easier to do things like intercept protected information or interrupt the normal flow of web traffic. In a DNS cache poisoning attack, hackers after a domain name system to a spoofed DNS so that when a legitimate user goes to visit a website, instead of landing on their intended destination, they actually end up at an entirely different site. Usually this happens without users even knowing, as the fake sites are often made to look like the real ones. Think of it like telling someone you live at a certain address and then going to that neighborhood. So this is actually the diagram. So how does DNS poisoning work? Fully understanding how does DNS poisoning works requires a bit of context on how the internet routes users to visit different websites. Every device and server has a unique internet protocol IP addresses, which is a series of numbers used as identifiers in communications. Every website has a domain name that sites on top of that to make it easy for internet users to visit the websites they want. The domain name system then maps the domain name that users enter the appropriate IP addresses to properly route the traffic, all of which gets handled through DNS servers. DNS poisoning takes advantage of weakness in this process to redirect traffic to an illegitimate IP addresses. Especially hackers gain access to a DNS server so that they can adjust its directory to point the domain name. DNS poisoning system how works. Let's talk about ARP poisoning. What is ARP poisoning and how does it work? Address Resolution Protocol ARP poisoning is when an attacker sends falsified ARP messages over a local area network LAN to link an attacker's MAC address with the IP address of a legitimate computer or server on the network. Once the attacker's MAC address is linked to an authentic IP address, the attacker can receive any messages directed to the legitimate MAC address. As a result, the attacker can intercept, modify, or block communicates to the legitimate MAC address. The term address resolution refers to the process of finding a MAC address that belongs to an assigned IP address for a computer in a network. The Address Resolution Protocol ARP is a protocol used by the Internet Protocol, specifically IP version 4, to map IP network addresses to the hardware addresses used by a data link protocol. The protocol operates below the network layer as a part of the interface between the OSI network and OSI link layer. It is used when IP version 4 is implemented over Ethernet. Address Resolution Protocol poisoning is when an attacker sends falsified ARP messages over a local area network to link an attacker's MAC address with the IP address of a legitimate computer or server on the network. Once the attacker's MAC address is linked to an authentic IP addresses, the attacker can receive any messages directed to the legitimate MAC address. As a result, the attacker can intercept, modify, or block communicates to the legitimate MAC addresses. So, a little review of ARP. In order for host A to begin communication with host B, host A needs to know both host B's IP address, where it is on the network, and its MAC address. How to protect from ARP attack? Some features systems for ARP attack like packet filtering, avoid trust relationships, use ARP spoofing detection software, using VPN. VPN will encrypt all the data that travels between the client and the exit server, and use cryptographic network protocols. It actually transport transport layer security, TLS secure shell, HTTP secure HTTPs, and communications protocols bolster ARP spoofing attack prevention by encrypting data prior to transmission and authentication. And packet filtering. Packet filters inspect packets as they are transmitted across a network. Packet filters are useful in ARP spoofing prevention because they are capable of filtering out and blocking packets with conflicting source address information. And how does ARP poisoning work? Every computer connects to a network using an ARP table. This table contains IP addresses and their corresponding MAC addresses. Hence, when you want to communicate with a certain IP address, your system refers to the respective MAC address. You can check your ARP table in Linux using the command like ARP, while in Windows it is ARP -A. This table shows up all the devices with whom you have communicated with on network. Hence, the system stores the IP address and respective MAC address. If you want to check the status of another system using the ping command, the system sends a broadcast command on the network. If this is attacked, the communication being sent to the real router is redirected to the attacker. This can allow attackers to modify the MAC and send it. ARP spoofing. What is ARP spoofing is? In computer networking, ARP spoofing, ARP cache poisoning, or ARP poison routing is a technique by which an attacker sends spoofed address resolution protocol messages onto a local area network. Generally, the aim is to associate the attacker's MAC address with the IP address of another host. ARP spoofing attacks. The effects of ARP spoofing attacks can have serious implications for enterprises like denial of service attacks, DOS attacks, session hijacking, man in the middle attacks, and ARP spoofing tutorial. ARP spoofing attacks typically follow a similar progression. The steps to an ARP spoofing attack usually include: the hackers open an ARP. The hacker uses the ARP. The attacker chose its target as other hosts on the LAN catch the spoofed ARP packets. ARP spoofing detection. Packet filtering. Packet filters inspect packets as they are transmitted across a network. Avoid trust relationships. Organizations should develop protocols that rely on trust relationships as little as possible. Use ARP spoofing detection software. There are many programs available that help organizations detect ARP spoofing attacks. These programs work by inspecting and certifying data before it is transmitted and blocking data that appears to be spoofed, and use cryptographic protocol. So that's it for today. Hello there, let's talk about MAC, media access control. So controlling when and what computer transmit important when more than one computer wants to send data. Point to point half duplex links, computers to take turns, and multi-point configurations setting ensure that no two computers attempt to transmit data at the same time. And main approaches: controlled access, contention based access. So media access control, what is it? As general overview, like what is media access control? A media access control is a network data transfer policy that determines how data is transmitted between two computer terminals through a network cable. The media access control policy involves sublayers of the data link layer 2 in the OSI reference model. The essence of the MAC protocol is to ensure non-collision and assist the transfer of data packets between two computer terminals. A collision takes place when two or more terminals transmit data information simultaneously. This leads to a breakdown of communication, which can prove costly for organizations that lean heavily on data transmission and media access control methods. This network channel through which data is transmitted between terminal nodes to avoid collision has three various ways of accomplishing this purpose. They include carrier sense multiple access with collision avoidance, carrier sense multiple access with collision detection, demand priority token passing, carrier sense multiple access with collision avoidance, or CSMA CA. Carrier sense multiple access with collision avoidance is a CSMA is a media access. And control policy that regulates how data packets are transmitted between two computer nodes. This method avoids collision by configuring each computer terminal to make a signal before transmission. The signal is carried many policy is there. So how do I stop my Mac? So how do I stop my Mac from flooding? Here port security multiple commands can be implemented and the violation can be defined based. So what is Mac flooding? Mac flooding is a type of cyber attack done in a network to compromise the security of the network switches. In the attack, the network is flooded with the fake MAC addresses. The hacker uses this attack to steal sensitive data that is being transferred in the network. The attack is used for forcing the legitimate MAC table contents out of the switch and forcing the uncached flooding behavior for potentially sending sensitive information to portions of the network where it is not normally intended to go. Procedure for the attack. In this attack, the hacker first connects to the switch ports and floods its interface by forcing legitimate MAC addresses and MAC addresses out of the MAC address table through a very large number of fake MAC addresses. Once the MAC address table is full, the network switch enters into the fail open mode and behaves like a network hub, broadcasting all the packets on all the switch ports. The hacker finally uses a packet analyzer to capture these packets to steal the sensitive information. Just look at this picture. So what is MAC flooding? MAC flooding is a kind of attack that happens on your LAN. It is intended to compromise the security of the network switches. The hubs broadcast data to the entire network, but switches send data to the specific machine where it is intended to. So what is MAC address? The manufacturer provides default MAC addresses to all computers. It is a 48-bit address that is represented in hexadecimal. For example, this The first three fields represent the manufacturer and the rest three fields represent the host computer. Ethernet frame. Ethernet is a connection between LAN and other systems. It is a system that controls the passing of information from LAN to any other connected system. Ethernet frame contains source, destination, and MAC address among the other data. It starts with phase 1, which is the header, and ends with a sequence of checks defined by the user. The control checks in frame depend on the organization it is being used for. Similar to MAC cable, the Ethernet frame also has a list based on which checks are in Ethernet and MAC address. This and the finally MAC address goal is sending data to the destined machine is achieved with the help of a structured table called a MAC table, and MAC address table has a timer. Once expired, results in the deletion of the entry. MAC flood attack. Attacker floods CAM table with frames with numbers invalid source MACs. Valid hosts can create CAM enters. Attacker and normal traffic is flooded out all ports because the CAM enters exist for valid hosts. Just look at this picture, how the attacker create a attack. Look at this, guys. Before MAC and after MAC up, before it found only 5 MAC addresses and after it 8189 total MAC addresses. The result is huge difference. So that's it for now, guys. Hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching. Hello there, let's talk about ARP. In my Kane enable tools, start scan, ARP, just click plus sign and just add to list, and DNS is for ARP. DNS requested name and give a host name. Now scan this. So what is DHCP attack? Bogus DHCP server attack, DHCP flooding attack, DHCP server DOS attack, DHCP packets incorrectly sent to the CPU, and DHCP spoofing. Like bogus DHCP server attack overview. Due to the lack of an authentication mechanism between DHCP servers and clients. A DHCP server newly configured on a network can allocate IP addresses and other network parameters to DHCP clients. If the allocated IP addresses and network parameters are incorrect, network services may be interrupted. In authorized and unauthorized DHCP servers can receive DHCP discover packets broadcast by DHCP clients. Let's check all the DHCP attack: spoofing, DOS attack, flooding. So attack overview: due to the lack of an authentication mechanism between DHCP servers and clients, a DHCP server newly configured on a network can allocate IP addresses and other network parameters to DHCP clients. If the allocated IP addresses and network parameters are incorrect, network services may be interrupted. Look at this figure. DHCP clients sending DHCP discover packets. If a bogus DHCP server sends a fake response packet including an incorrect gateway address, domain name, system, server and IP addresses, so procedure is here: method or advantages or disadvantages. Method: configure DHCP snooping and configure a traffic policy. Packets are not sent to the CPU. But disadvantage: the configuration is complex and ACL resources are required. So here is some method how you can configure DHCP snooping. All the method is given here. And DHCP flooding attack, like attack overview, symptom, troubleshooting, roadmap. All the procedure is given here. DHCP server DOS attack. DHCP starvation attack and rogue DHCP server attack. Before performing DHCP starvation attack, you should know what is this attack and why do hackers perform it. Here is the tool we are using. You do not get the install already. About DHCP server, you have been told in networking articles that, as we know, DHCP server provides IP addresses to connected devices in any network. As if you have added a new computer to one of your networks, in this case, if hackers are in your network, if they want that no new device should be connected in the network, then they perform DHCP starvation attack, like DOS attack is done on any website. Similar DHCP starvation attack is also done on DHCP server. Whenever this attack is performed on DHCP server in such a way, DHCP server does not provide IP address and it crashes. Just as hackers have performed DHCP starvation attack is a network in such a way, hackers rogue can set DHCP server and set according to their own range in which range the IP address should be found. Let's understand this by example, as if the hackers have performed DHCP server attack in your network in such a way. When you want to connect a new device, DHCP server gives the IP address according to its own. But hackers set up their range by setting up DHCP server like this, a random IP. Whenever a new device will provide an IP address, then it is provided from the given range of hackers. So how to perform DHCP starven attack? To perform this attack, you need a tool. You can also call this tool a hidden tool because most of them do not know about it. First of all, you have to install this, and this is the command in Kali Linux: apt install Yersinia. The name of the tool that we are using here is Yersinia. You can see it in the image here. In this way you can install this tool. Here you are getting an error show in such a way that if you also get this error, you can also correct it. How to perform rogue DHCP server attack? Just a DHCP starven attack has been done. Similar rogue DHCP server attack is done like we used the send raw packets option. Here you have to use the create DHCP rogue server option. After using this option, something gets opened in front of you in this way. Here you can see that is in this way. You have to fill the information like starting range of IP address using DHCP with a multi-layer switch, DHCP negation process, DHCP configuration steps, configuring a manual DHCP binding, and some DHCP options like allow additional configuration items. Each option is identified by a number. Common DHCP options like location of WLC, location of SMTP, location of TOP3 mail server, location of TFT server for Cisco IP addresses. Configuring a DHCP relay facilitates locating a DHCP server in a central location where it can be used, or multiple subnets. Configured on each layer 3 interface. Most than one DHCP server can be configured for redundancy. Then configuring DHCP to support IP version 6 and IP version 6 refresher. Like, this is very important, guys. IP version 6 can auto configure the host by discovering a local IP version 6 router. Host learns network prefix to generate a link local address. Link local address start with FE80. Link local addresses is made up of prefix and host MAC address. Duplicate address detection DAD is used to ensure to conflict. Then stateless auto configuration. Client generate its own IP address, 64-bit layer 3 subnet prefix. DHCP version 6. Some routers specify if DHCP version 6 is opened in their advertisements. Clients can also request the service. DHCP server configuration. Here is exclude addresses from allocation like this. And how can you configure your own computer? Just follow this. You can clear active laces, configure manual binding, configure DHCP relay. So this is how you guys can configure your DHCP. So that's it, and hope you guys liked it, and thanks for watching.
So let's talk about proxy server. So what is a proxy server? So a proxy server is a system or router that provides a gateway between user and the internet. Therefore, it helps to prevent cyber attacker from entering a private network, and it is a server referred to as intermediary because it goes between the end user and the web pages that they visit online. So when a computer connects to the internet, it uses an IP address. This is similar to your home's street address, telling incoming data where to go and marking outside data with a return address for other devices to authenticate. A proxy server is essentially a computer on the internet that has an IP address on its own, and it will vary from you to me to other person. So it will vary from machine to machine or person to person. So what is the best use cases or best cases for proxy server? That so proxy server can improve security. It can secure employees internet activity from people trying to snoop on them. It can balance internet traffic to prevent crashes. It can also control the website employees that staffs that access in the office, and also it save bandwidth by caching file or compressing the internet traffic. So how does this proxy work? So because a proxy server has its own address, it can be a go between for a computer and the internet. So your computer knows this address and you send a request to the internet and it routes the proxy which then gets a response to the web server and forward the data with the web pages to your computer browser like Chrome, Safari or any other browser. Then let's talk about how to create a proxy. So there are like hardware and software version. Hardware connected sit between your network and the internet where they get, send and forward the data from the web. And software proxies are typically hosted by a provider or reside in the cloud. You can download and install application on your computer that facilitate interaction with the proxy. So often a software proxy can be obtained for a month free, but nowadays it's hard to get a proxy free. The free version tend to offer fewer addresses and only cover a few devices, while the paid version like this one can meet a demand like business related or many devices or at a time. As you can see, this is the best page for proxies that you can buy. So you can choose any of the version like IPv4 or IPv6. So if you choose IPv6, you can choose country, or if you choose IPv4, you can choose country. You can choose the rental period, which will be for like you can choose 12 months. Then you can choose country, intercontinental 2. So as you can see, IPv4 standard protocol, which is nearly a $1 per proxy. So as you can see, the proxies cost cost vary from country to country. As you can see, in here there are like $2 per proxy in Australia. So and also the lowest is I think this one in US, which is 0.89 USD per proxy. And also you can visit a certain website using this website, which is hidemyas.com, and for proxy, so you can hide your IP and visit web pages that you want to visit. Just simply click this in here and it will go to and visit that web page. And also you can manually choose to connect to the internet using proxy by clicking this. Just search proxy in the network setting, then you can type your IP address. If you have an extra proxy, then you can do all of this, but if you don't have any proxy, then you cannot do all of this. You have to choose automatically that configure the Tor browser. As you can see, you can choose address, username, password. You can choose SOCKS 5 for or HTTPS, and also you can choose the port that you will be want to use. So So you can have many proxies, you can choose many proxies, you can even buy proxies in here. So let's now close and again open our Tor browser. As you can see, it will automatically connect. So if I automatically, as you can see, you can go to a Tor network setting. You can choose your auto start, which will automatically choose your IP address, proxy, and do all of the thing. So you just have to do is automatically connect, and then you don't need to have anything like Tor or anything. But if you want to do that, you can even do that in here. You can choose or configure the proxies in here. So that's how you use proxy in Tor browser, or even any browser you want.
Hey there, let's talk about web cache poisoning. So web cache poisoning. In this section, we'll talk about what web cache poisoning is and what behaviors can lead to web cache poisoning vulnerabilities. We'll also look at some ways of exploiting these vulnerabilities. So what is web cache poisoning? Web cache poisoning is an advanced technique whereby an attacker exploits the behavior of a web server and cache so that a harmful HTTP response is served to other users. Fundamentally, web cache poisoning involves two phases. First, the attacker must work out how to elicit a response from the backend server that inadvertently contains some kind of dangerous payload. Once successful, they need to make sure that the response is cached and subsequently served to the intended victims. A poisoned web cache can potentially be a devastating means of distributing numerous different attacks, exploiting vulnerabilities such as XSS, JavaScript injection, open redirection, and many more. So this is what is web cache poisoning. So there is some research in web cache poisoning research. This technique was first popularized by our 2018 research paper, Practical Web Cache Poisoning, and developed further in 2020 with a second research paper. If you guys have enough time and interested about it, just read this article or their published research paper. Read, how does a web cache work? To understand how web cache poisoning vulnerabilities arise, it is important to have a basic understanding of how web caches work. If a server had to send a new response to every single HTTP request separately, this would likely overload the server, resulting in latency issues and a poor user experience, especially during busy periods. Caching is primarily a means of reducing such issues. The cache sits between the server and the user where it saves caches. So what is the impact of a web cache poisoning attack? What exactly the attacker can successfully get cached? As the poisoned cache is more a means of distribution than a standalone attack, the impact of web cache poisoning is inextricably linked to how harmful the injected payload is. As with most kinds of attack, web cache poisoning can also be used in combination with other attacks to escalate the potential impact even further. The amount of traffic on the affected page, the poisoned response will only serve to users who visit the affected page while the cache is poisoned. As a result, the impact can range from non-existent to massive depending on whether the page is popular or not. If an attacker managed to poison a cache response on the home page, a major website, for example, the attack could affect thousands of users without any subsequent interaction from the attacker. Constructing a web cache poisoning attack, generally speaking, three web cache attack involves in this step: identify and evaluate uncaged inputs, elect a harmful response, get the response cached. So exploiting web cache poisoning vulnerabilities. The basic process can be used to discover and exploit a variety of different web cache poisoning vulnerabilities. In some cases, web cache poisoning vulnerabilities arise due to general flaws in the design of caches, or other times the way in which a cache is implemented by a specific website can introduce. What is cache poisoning? Cache poisoning is a type of cyber attack in which attackers insert fake information into a domain name system cache or cache for the purpose of harming users. In DNS cache poisoning or DNS spoofing, an attacker diverts traffic from a legitimate server to malicious, dangerous server. The perpetrator enters false information such as doctorate website address into the DNS cache, which results in the redirection of users to a wrong, unexpected, or dangerous website. DNS cache poisoning is a highly deceptive attack that not only diverts traffic from legitimate websites but also leaves users vulnerable to make risks, including malware infections and data theft. In web cache poisoning, an attacker exploits the web server and cache to serve a malicious hypertext transfer protocol response to users. Cache poisoning. DNS cache poisoning corrupts a DNS server's cache with bogus data such as a rough address, opening the door to data theft and other thefts. Number 1 is attacker queries a recursive name server. Number 2, the recursive server does not have the IP address. Then number 3, before bankofamerica.com name server can send a next domain response, attacker sends lots of spoofed response that looks like they are coming from a legitimate in this server. And number 4, the recursive name server accepts a spoofed response, caches the record. Number 5, user queries the recursive name server for IP address of www.bankofamerica.com. And number 6, the recursive name server replies to a user with cached rogue IP address. And number 7, user connects to site controlled by attacker which may look exactly like the real Bank of America website. How the attack works, just look this picture carefully. Recursive name server, and how attacker get cached memory, and how user manipulate by attacker. So hardware versus software. It is developed with electronic components and other material, hardware, and software. It is developed with computer programming languages. Like software is Linux is a software, a operating system, or any game or any tools, any hacking tools, anything made by developer is called software, and hardware is made by electronic components, which is a machine. Web server and performance evaluation. Today a website may be the first place customers go to conduct business with traditional companies, while electronic commerce sites have become the main business focus for many organizations. The two main ingredients in a web server are its hardware and its web server software. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you guys liked it, and thanks for watching. Hello everyone. So how DNS cache poisoning attacks works? A DNS cache poisoning attack is an attempt to trick a caching DNS server into catching a forced response. If bank.example.com is at 192.0.2.193 and evil.example.com is at 198.18.8.17, an attacker may try to poison a DNS server's cache by sending the forged response of bank.example.com is at 198.18. So DNS cache poisoning prevention: limit recursive queries for protection, only store data related to the requested domain, provide responses only about the requested domain, force clients. So let's check in Kali Linux. Opening terminal, give command if config/all go to Windows command prompt, if config ping 192.168.92.135, gedit slash etc dot ethercap slash ethercap dot dns. Now my ethercap DNS is open. Simply save this and close. Give command ethercap -g and let's sniping in ethercap. Manage plugins, DNS, a spoof, and activating DNS spoof plugin. Let's open terminal again and give command set toolkit Give IP 192.168.92.1. Enter the URL to clone.facebook.com. This is a clone login page. So this is how you can use. So that's it.